relationship is supposed to be the partner that you bear arms with to fight the struggle. You're not supposed to be in the struggle with the person you fighting life with. And we tend to do that, men and women, across the board. Men become domestically violent and turn a beautiful love affair into a hostage crisis disguised as the love affair. Women turn into naggers. And the reason they do that is because they don't feel like they being heard. They don't feel like that you paying them no attention. But if I'm fighting a problem, I'm probably not paying you attention right now. And it probably don't got nothing to do with me having any malice towards you whatsoever or any feelings of neglect. It might be just that I'm dealing with a problem and I'm focused on it and I'm trying to keep the fronts up to keep you from dealing with the same problem I'm dealing with. Because now I'm dealing with it and now we got to resolve the matter fast because both of us can't be going through crises together. This is going to cause a trauma bond. But these new people don't feel bonded unless it's a trauma bond. This is a Dianetics contagion of aberration at its finest, where the fucked up psyche is looking for another psyche to fuck up, right? Bad ideas are living organisms. Why you say that, Rod? What do you mean they living organisms? They follow the same path of any other virus. They try to find a source to feed on and grow. And then once they successfully feeding and growing, now they have to reproduce, replicate. They have to find another fertile mind to fuck up so that this fucked up shit can be spread like wildfire. And we take these things beyond the personal scope. If you know somebody, you don't know them in war the way you're going to know them in peace. You're not going to know the guy from the battlefield the same as you know him in the hood, right? Unless your hood a battlefield, because some of the hoods is battlefields. But what I mean by that is this. When a person is at war, they not paying attention to what they would be paying attention to in a time of peace. The warrior fighting the war is not going to be the lover yet. It's not going to be the attentive one. Not going to coddle your needs because he at war. It don't mean they don't care. It just means that if they get distracted at wartime, it could mean imminent doom. When you at war, you can't shift out of war mode until you see the peace flag. And the peace flag is the white flag. And these motherfuckers ain't raising no white flags yet. Right? We go by totem poles and we go by war bonnets. When you see a bunch of chiefs riding around with all white war bonnets on, we in peacetime. But for the foreign invaders who brought the law of the flag on our shores, and if you don't see no white flag, the war's still raging. I'm looking for the white flag. That motherfucker some goddamn where. And we got to find it and put it in the public domain. So that's an all hands on deck situation. It's going to be over a state building. It's going to be over a military installation somewhere. That white flag is flying right now. We don't even know where it's at. Because we so busy focusing on, did my girl look at that nigga muscles when he was flexing? Or did her man look at that other chick ass? We fucking fighting a war. Who gives a fuck? We fighting a war. The hardest part for us to understand is we fighting a whole fucking war. This war didn't just start. This is a 500-year-old protracted struggle. If you don't know that war evolves over time and take on many faces, and causes people to behave in a different manner than they would in a time of peace, you're going to be lost, right? And we know, because I didn't produce the receipts, that this is not just a physical war, but it's also a conjure war, and that the reason why Martin Luther King was using the Gandhi nonviolent, the same reason Gandhi used it, the same reason that motherfucking Marcus Garvey built a whole fucking military and said, oh shit, we can't even fight. I did all this shit for nothing. This is a waiting game. This is a student's game to become a master. It's about education and erudition. It's about learning. It's about who's going to read the most books and who's going to apply the most discipline to overcome the psychological deficit of the Kali Yuga, the artificially induced Kali Yuga through a blood ritual. And when he realized that, his hands tied. Elijah Muhammad told his nation, don't get no guns. Don't mean some of them got no guns, because like me, I believe in fucking firearms. I believe as long as my enemy got a gun, I should have 10. That's how I feel. But all that regarded, we was fighting a war that had evolved beyond the blood that ran through the canals of Miami, the canals of Orlando, from the blood that drenched the Mississippi, that went into New Orleans, to the Delta. All of that bloodshed culminates with the Civil War and the assassination or the sacrifice of Crispus Attucks by the invaders. I seen a couple lives in the last couple of days, and what's my man? Asir Duke of Tears lit that bitch up. He went in. I can see where his blind spot at though. Then a girl named Amina Nicole be with Emrek on a receipt drop on the shattered screen. Y'all gotta get that. When I get out of when y'all get done watching this, search on there for the broken phone dialogue from Amina Nicole. She went in, and I'm like, damn, she dropped all the receipts that I was dropping at the same time I was dropping. I didn't even know we was moving that much in sync until I seen her doing her receipt review, and I was like, holy shit. And if I could have took her receipt description and everything she said, posted a receipt to it. That was fire, right? And but Asir Duke of Tears, he had it was a Feathers versus Fez discourse, and he was explaining how they was fighting a proxy war. This is gonna come up tomorrow with Young Elder, and we're gonna go into the whole proxy war and how do you fight a proxy war. This is what we've been doing. See, while we trying to remember who we is, and the dirty Moors, conquistadors, is trying to remember who they is. The Bays versus the L's, Feathers versus the Fez, righteous Moor versus dirty Moors. This how you know something ain't right. The country that they call Morocco today was founded in like the 40s. And they stole the flag that Noble Drew Ali brought for the Moorish Science Temple of America. What you mean, Rod? That's the Noble Drew Ali flag. Noble Drew Ali was flying that flag in 1913. Right? Wasn't no Morocco. Ain't no ancient Morocco. Morocco not even ancient. So how in the fuck you gonna get me to believe it's an ancient Morocco? Right? So, but it was called Al Maghrib, Northwest Africa. Now, they show us a map with Al Maghrib written over Northwest Africa, and this is where the Spaniards sent the Moors when they expelled them from Europe. This is not even hard, difficult information to find. But I knew when Noble Drew Ali said get a good Moorish education, he mean that I'm finna show you something, and if you follow these motherfuckers, you're gonna find out some mind-blowing shit. Right? And I find out that he went into what's called the Moorish Zionist Temple in New York to discover, right, what are they using as the means to oppress us at home It doesn't make sense. They have to be doing something that we are not privy to. So they cat's paw. The cat's paw is the fall guy, the crash dummy, your Coke Seavers. The fall guy job is when the heat come, he supposed to take the heat. But Paleface speak with forked tongue. He told us what them motherfuckers was doing because he put it on blackface. I'm a paleface, but I'm speaking for some motherfuckers with black faces. But the terminologies, black and white, is chess terms. Those who fall under the category of white are the European nobility that came over here to conquer the natives of this land. The black on the chessboard are your stealth priests from this land, your old Mississippians, and your what they call your South Pacific tribes coming from Mexico, Olmec, Aztec, Toltec, right? And then they just say that we just up and left, like when you study the Pueblo. They said it's just up and left one day. No, the fuck we didn't. We didn't just up and leave, nigga. We went to war, and we had packed our families up, and we was on our way to go fight the Gullah Wars of Florida. They told y'all we lived in teepees. Bullshit. We got castles that's been here for thousands of years that's still standing. And all they did was turn them into state buildings, mental institutions, and prisons, and told you that there wasn't none of that shit over here, that there was no royalty over here. They don't tell you that the old Mississippians had a navy, and our naval base was the port of Nola, or port of New Orleans, that the French ended up taking. And it wasn't a stronghold for war. At first, it was like when we brought goods from the islands and sent goods to the islands, it was our transport port. And we was trading with Africans on the West Coast long before Columbus. We was trading with Asians on the West Coast long motherfucking before Columbus. And they having us thinking that we was all over here savage backwards, the same shit they tell us about Africa. Africa got a metropolises over there that's still standing, that ain't never failed. And they got y'all thinking this is all new shit. This shit old as fuck. We go through cycles. At the end of the cycle, somebody comes along like me. Normally it's Big Mama, but this time she sent the baby boy because we needed to change the dynamic for the men. The men need to be seen properly supporting the women so that we can get the imposters out. So now, Mama baby boy and Big Mama favorite baby boy, they say we're going to send him in, but we're going to hold him off until he get to be an older man. Wait till he get to become an elder, and then we'll let him evict every motherfucker on the land that don't belong here. Article 77 of the Iroquois Constitution said that the war chief has an absolute right to evict the imposters, invaders off the land by putting it in the public domain. Article 77 of the Iroquois Constitution. Now, the thing about that is there's 5 treaty tribes. The rest are what you call non-treaty tribes. It's supposed to be one of the 5. The only way that you can bypass that is if the war chief out of the 5 civilized tribes who inherit the right to close and evict the imposters doesn't perform the function due to the miseducation or due to the dereliction of duty. Either one, it don't matter. But when they show you that they don't know what to do, then the next war chief that's actively alerting the people of the condition can close out can serve the notice. That's already been done. See, if you don't know your culture, you won't understand what's taking place behind the scenes. But if you understand your culture, you'll know the farce of what's going on in front of our face that they playing out in social media, the news networks, all this shit. The whole entire internet, no matter where it's at, is owned by the U.S. military. I don't give a fuck if the Russians using it. I don't give a fuck if the Chinese using it. I don't give a fuck if North Korea, South Korea, West Korea. I don't give a fuck who using it. The military was a creation for espionage and intelligence by the military industrial complex. And they own the fucking internet. There is a switch that they can hit and turn off the entirety of the internet. That go for your dark net, your Apple iPhones, all of that shit can be shut off by the U.S. military with one button. All they got to do is turn HAL off. Just because HAL not over here, right, don't mean they can't turn that motherfucker off from over here. It still falls under the jurisdictional domain of the military-industrial complex. This was seized under Donald J. by military intelligence for crimes against humanity. Because Dwight D. Eisenhower signed a treaty with beings that ain't from Earth to allow them to collect samples of humans. They don't got to bring them back. This is why he agreed to give them 1 million people. Close to him is 800,000. It was the actual original number. And if you Google every year how many people come up missing, it's going to be roughly 800,000, right? But you got to remember, in that 800,000 is not included kidnapped children in the child trafficking network that we call DHS. It's not counting none of the children, right, that's being bred in people's basement like dogs, right? It's not counting none of them. It's only counting the ones that they was given permission to take. They're still, look, they've discovered Wall Street is behind the laundering of $100 trillion in child trafficking. $100 trillion in money laundering. $100 million in false trade, proxy trades, which is actually money laundering cover-up schemes to allow them to conceal the financial flow of their dirt. Wall Street was created to trade in slaves. Your birth certificate is traded on Wall Street as a secondary. It's traded primarily on what we call the international exchange, right? The national exchange, or the North American Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, is not the same as the International Stock Exchange, which trades an entirely different volume of currency. When you look at Wall Street, you could trade $1 on Wall Street. But when you get to that international trading system, you are starting off in the billions. You're starting off because you trade nations now. You got nations doing business with gross national product and gross domestic product. And they doing all of this trading in your face, behind your back. They doing it. They admit to doing it. They show you the numbers, but they not telling you what they really doing, right? That's like if a dude counting drug money, but you don't know you're a drug dealer and you helping him count money all day. You don't know you counting drug money. You don't got no way of knowing. If you don't know he's a drug dealer, you have no way of knowing you counting drug money. Now, let's just say he's also a casino owner. Now, you under the impression you counting casino money, but all the time you counting drug money. We've been counting human trafficking money for them. We've been aiding and assisting them in their bookkeeping process by using the mortgage fraud cover-up, the interest fraud cover-up, the inflation fraud cover-up. All of that is to conceal the trading in the human capital of human children, their byproducts, and their body parts. You think when they say they trading pig bellies on the market, they talking about oink oink pig. No. Pig is an acronym. Figure that out. Pig is an acronym. So they might be trading pig bellies or pork bellies, which is also another acronym, right? All of those acronyms, you know them because they're spelled in capital letters. So, like I write in all caps. Everything is an acronym. It's a story inside of every word, and inside of every story in that word, it relays a bigger message. These